Well. Look at all these great graduates with us today. You all rock. And graduates, give yourselves a warm and much-deserved Golden Flash round of applause. You certainly deserve it. Congratulations. Way to go. All right, so today I'm going to speak briefly about practicing resilience, about practicing empathy, and about keeping a healthy perspective on life. And along the way, I'm going to talk about getting sick and experiencing constant vomiting, so you've got that to look forward to over the next few minutes. And by the way, I bet you didn't wake up this morning and think, hey, the president's going to talk about puking during my graduation ceremony. But yep, you're going to hear a bit about that today. And so I'm going to walk you through two examples of what I'm calling looking out the window. Looking out the window both metaphorically and literally is a way to put in perspective the difficulties and challenges you will experience after graduation and throughout your life. And so, on to the vomiting. So, 18 months ago, I contracted acute dengue fever in Brazil, a country I have visited and lived in on and off for the last 43 years. About 1.5 million Brazilians contracted this mosquito-borne virus the year I got it. Mine was the acute version of dengue fever, which can be especially nasty. And so for me, it was days and days of high fever, debilitating body aches, total exhaustion, and yes, wait for it, nonstop vomiting. So for 7 days, I could not keep anything down. Clear liquid, puke. Juices and or diluted soft drinks, puke and puke. Plain bread, bananas, or plain rice, puke and puke. Terrible stuff. And really, all you need to know about acute dengue fever is this. You do not want to get acute dengue fever. So why am I telling you all this? I'm doing so today to say that I am fortunate, that I was fortunate when I got sick. And I'm doing so to encourage you to think about the plight of others, even as you encounter your own difficulties. So in other words, graduates, practice resilience and empathy as you move through life. I knew I was exceptionally fortunate even on the first day of my illness. My brother-in-law is a Brazilian physician, and when he took one look at me, he said, "You've got dengue fever and we need to get you to the hospital." And I was in that hospital for most of the day, and I received medication and liquids intravenously. And really, I was fortunate to have a relative who is a physician and who knew what to do. And more importantly, I had the means to afford a day of hospital care. As we pulled into the hospital parking lot on that sunny and very hot day, I noticed scores of Brazilians sitting on curbs and beneath trees and shrubs, and they were clearly suffering from dengue fever as well. Either they didn't have the resources to seek medical care, or they were diagnosed but didn't have the resources to spend the day in the hospital recovering, as I was fortunate to be able to do. I will never forget looking out the window of my brother-in-law's car and seeing them and their suffering. I'm not sure how to describe the scene except to say that these were sick, thin, poorly clothed people doubling over from pain, even while sitting in the hot sun on the curbs of a scorching parking lot. I was fortunate. Over the next 2 weeks, I recovered in my sister and brother-in-law's quite comfortable home. I stopped puking, yay! And gradually, I recovered enough energy to return to Kent. I recovered in true comfort with in-house medical care. Clearly, the people sitting in the sun were not able to do so. Graduates, think about those people sitting in the sun as you leave this place, and you think about what you will do to help others after graduation. Now, we can turn this window on its side, so to speak, for the second and last example of putting things in context. And in this example, I want you to look out the window because doing so can give us joy and it can remind us of our purpose. Looking out the window in this example reminds us of why we do what we do and what a pleasure it is to do it. A couple of months ago, I thought of all this while sitting in a meeting of 30 or so university presidents in New York City. These presidents were not from Ohio, but they knew of Ohio Senate Bill 1 and of its changes and its burdens of implementation, and many of them expressed concern for me and asked how I was doing. It's a kind of an odd, out-of-body experience to be the object of such concerns from others. And that's when I thought, how am I really doing? And the answer is this. I'm managing things primarily because I look out the window, meaning I'm mindful of perspective and what it is I have to be grateful for. A lot has been happening in the world of higher education over the last 12 months, and of course a lot has happened in the world over the last 12 months, and you graduates are graduating right in the middle of it. Globally, we have experienced armed conflict, serious armed conflict, that although happening half a world away has involved many of our students, or at least some of their family and friends. And we've had natural disasters, such as the terrible flash floods in central Texas in July. And of course, we had a little old national election last November. And in Ohio, and on the higher education front, we experienced the passage and initial implementation of a massive 77-page omnibus state law known colloquially as Senate Bill 1. Now, I am not here today to comment on the bill itself and on whether I think it's a good law or bad law. What I really want to do and what I really want to say is that this new law, along with the changes nationally, have generated more change in higher education than I have experienced in my 38 years in the business. And I'll even go out on a limb and say that in 1 year, with what's happening nationally and with Senate Bill 1, I have experienced more change than in my last 38 years combined. My campus office overlooks Rissman Plaza. I look out my big, expansive windows and I see our students going to and from classes, going to and from meetings and gatherings. And in the days leading to commencement, I see you, our students here today, posing for pictures in your caps and gowns in front of the Kent State Fountain. And when I do so, I am reminded of how fortunate I am to lead this great university and to participate in your education and now your graduation. And truly, it does not get any better than this. Looking out my window gives me perspective. It provides context. It reminds me of how privileged I am to have this job, this calling, and to be able to call Kent State my home. Looking out this window, I see you, graduates. I see your signing faces. I feel right now your nervous energy. I celebrate your successes. And all of this window gazing reminds me of what a privilege it is to be here in this exact moment. So, my closing advice today, graduates, is to look out your own window. Put your own challenges in perspective. Do this while developing your skills of resilience, compassion, perspective, and even patience. Oh, and one more thing, always stay hydrated when experiencing uncontrollable vomiting. But really, you all deserve our praise and honor. You are brilliant. Graduates, I salute you. I wish you the best. I really am so happy for each and every one of you. And go Flashes!